In this lecture, we will discuss about the most conflicting and continuing contentious issues in between Pakistan and China and India. So, in particularly, the main issue, that is the issue of Kashmir. And in that context, we would like to discuss the very state of Jammu Kashmir after post partition of undivided India in 1947. The entire state of Jammu and Kashmir was acceded to India by the then ruler of Jammu Kashmir, Maharaja Hari Singh, through an instrument of accession signed on October 26, 1947. So, the original state of Jammu and Kashmir, which acceded to India in October 1947, was comprising 222,236 square kilometers. But at present, we found India is only in physical occupation of only 106,566 square miles from the original state of Jammu Kashmir. So, Pakistan occupied Kashmir, or which is otherwise known as Pakistan, controlled Kashmir, or Pakistan administered Kashmir as mentioned by United Nations Organization is around 72,935 square kilometers of land of Kashmir by Pakistan, and out of which almost 5,180 square kilometers of Sakasgam Valley was leased by Pakistan to China in 1963. So, also you would like to discuss about the China occupied Kashmir, which was consisting almost 37,555 square kilometers, and which is commonly known as Accession, and plus the land leased by Pakistan to China in 1963, which is the Saksgram Valley. So the entire territory under the occupation of the Chinese are totaling up to 42,735 square kilometers. So, in regards to Pakistan occupied Kashmir, the original state of Jammu Kashmir, which acceded to India in October 1947, comprised 222,236 square kilometers. Independent India's border in the northwest tossed the Wakan corridor of Afghanistan and bordered to north with China, occupied Tibet. Pakistan had no border with China, but today India is in physical occupation of only 106,566 square kilometers of the total land that was acceded by India under the instrument of accession by the then late ruler of Jammu Kashmir, Maharaja Hari Singh, which was comprising 222,236 square kilometers, and of which Pakistan occupied Kashmir is almost 72,935 square kilometers, less 5,180 square kilometers of the Sasgam Valley, and which is Indian territory illegally leased to China in 1963 by Pakistan. And China occupied Kashmir consists of the 37,500 square kilometer of Aksai plus 5,180 square kilometer Gram Valley. So, the totaling of China occupied Kashmir would be almost 42,735 square kilometers. And the US and regional Pakistani media had reported in 2012 that Pakistan was considering leasing Gilgit-Baltistan, which is around 72,971 square kilometer to China for 50 years. Today we have a line of control with Pakistan and the line of actual control with China. So on the very partition of India, the British conspired an invasion and capture of Jammu Kashmir through Lord Viceroy Mountbatten, the then Governor General of Independent India, with Robert Lockett, the Commander in Chief of Air Indian Army, and Douglas Grace, Commander in Chief of Pakistan Army. So, the Pakistani invasion of the Jammu Kashmir territory, which led to the occupation of the land of Kashmir by Pakistan, and the very complete organization of this conspiracy was completely instructed by the British authorities to the Pakistan commander in chief of the army of the then Pakistan was Douglas Gracie, and he organized the fall and massacre of the Thagrood garrison, which was holding on for 8 months. So the complete garrison, including women and children, were massacred. So during the India Pakistan Karachi Agreement of 1949 held under the aegis of United Nations, the ceasefire line marked went east only till NJ 9842, beyond which it only said thence not to the glacier. So 1972 onwards, this ceasefire line was termed as line of control. British officers of Pakistan Army guided Pakistani infiltrators into Shuk and Nubra valleys of Ladakh, but the Nubra gods of Ladakh is fought and made them retreat when the Indian army was going after the retreating Pakistani infiltrators. Mountbatten and Robert Lockett persuaded the then Prime Minister of India, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, to call a ceasefire and approach the United Nations for arbitration. Another trap which Pandit Nehru felt for British plan was for Pakistan army to get a foothold in Jammu Kashmir, making it party to dispute when referred to United Nations. Importantly, British wanted to keep Gilgit Baltistan with a country of their making, and that is Pakistan, to fight communist threat of Russia and China on borders of Kashmir. In 1962, 67 to 70, the maps by Pakistan United Nations and other global atlases depicted the ceasefire line correctly, but in 1967 the USA Defense Mapping Agency began showing Indo-Pak boundary on tactical pilotage starts from NJ 9842 to the Karakoram Pass without justification or any documentation. Categorically given entire such in sell through areas to Pakistan. This possibly was why designed because of the soft corner of the relationship USA wanted to establish with China that eventually led to President Nixon's visit to Beijing in 1972. Following the USA Defense Mapping Agency began showing Indo-Pak boundary on tactical pilotage charts. Many official private cartographers and atlas producers followed suit, and Pakistan eventually started claiming this as boundary. India ironically remained silent that time. In late 1970s, early 1980s, many expeditions are applied to Pakistan to climb peaks in the Siachen glaciers, and among them the German Siachen expedition, which helped by Pakistan, and which is also being shown in German TV in 1979. In April 1984, India successfully preempted Pakistani designs to occupy the Shaltro Massif, a fact and admission of the strategic significance of the Shaltro, and it admitted by the then late President of Pakistan, Parvez Musharraf, in his own autobiography, In the Line of Fire. Ever since then, Pakistan has been looking to grab more Indian territory. It is the last big venture made by Pakistan under Musharraf being failed, which was known as Kargil, introduced during 1999 when India defeated the Pakistanis and they almost retreated to Pakistan due to the then late Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee's able leadership. So now we would like to discuss about the position of Aksai chain, which is occupied by China. So China is occupied Kashmir, which is otherwise known as Aksai chain, which consists around 37,555 square kilometers, including the leased Saxam Valley by Pakistan to China in 1963, which is around 5,180 square kilometers. So, in that connection, would like to discuss the very formation of the boundary line. So, the McMahon line, which is considered as the borderline between India and China. The McMahon line is the demarcation line between the both and northeast region of India, negotiated between the Bath and Great Britain at the end of the Simla Conference in October 1913 to July 1914, and named after the chief British negotiator Sir Henry McMahon. The document has been signed by the Tibetan representative, but China refused to acknowledge the McMahon line. And in 1962, when Nehru directed the Indian Army to throw the People's Liberation Army out of one illegally occupied post, China launched a massive pre-planned invasion in 1963. And in between Pakistan, leased the Sosgam Valley, which is Indian territory in Pakistani occupied Kashmir to China in exchange for military and nuclear technology. So in 1960, the Chinese premier Chow Enlai visited India, said there would be no war, but was waiting for an opportunity. As the Indian army was poorly equipped, the very opinion expressed by the authorities that getting China into the international community by conceding its right to the Chinese seat at the United Nations Security Council was in fact a central pillar of Nehru's foreign policy. India became aware that China had built a road through Aksai in Indian territory and established the People's Liberation Army post there much after all this was completed. Accession was annexed by China compared to the killings close to 1 million Tibetans in Tibet. So, in 1962, when Nehru directed to throw the People's Liberation Army out of one illegally occupied post, China launched a massive pre-planned invasion. It was in particularly the wrong foreign policy of the then late Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru, who pronounced with Chow Enlai's visit to India that Indochine or Bhai Bhai or brothers. So, in 1963, when Pakistan illegally leased Sasgam Valley Indian territory in Pakistan occupied Kashmir to China in exchange for military and nuclear technology, the then Chinese Prime Minister Chow Enlai visited Pakistan and suggested to the then Pakistani Prime Minister Ayub Khan that Pakistan should prepare for a prolonged conflict with India instead of short-term wars, advising Pakistan to raise a military force and terrorists to act behind enemy as Indian lines. China and Pakistan have proxies in Myanmar like the Arkan Rohingya Salvation Army and the United Liberation Front of West and Southeast Asia, bringing together 9 insurgent groups of Northeast. Insurgent and band organizations in India have China Pakistan links despite avowed Bonem China has been against India's entry into the United Nations Security Council as a permanent member. All Chinese companies and individuals working abroad are placed to help gather intelligence for their country, and Chinese development projects have People's Liberation Army presence. And at recently, the People's Liberation Army's intrusion in eastern Ladakh during May 2020 took us by complete surprise. Ironically, same had happened in Kargil during 1999 by Pakistan. The brutal surprise attack on our troops in Galwan Valley by the People's Liberation Army using swords and clubs was in complete disregard to border protocol. Our brave soldiers gave a befitting reply to the People's Liberation Army, killing over 43 of them compared to losing 20 of our brave soldiers. Both sides took hostages which were later exchanged. The pre-immediate attack was to convey a message to the Indians and the Indian government after protracted military talks on June 22, 2020, both sides had agreed to disengage, but then People's Liberation Army has re-established its post at Patrol Point 14 and has built off. In this bank, China's history of backstabbing has been repeated. So, after discussing about the Pakistan occupied Kashmir and about Aksai, would like to conclude our lecture on the very conflicting issue for the last 78 years, which is continuing till so our policymakers in India aware of the belief there will be no war as such defense allocations were minimal and military modernization dumped. We failed to realize that China policy was always based on surprise, ambiguity, and deceit, and that it is power that China and Pakistan understand had power is a deterrent by itself. Soft power, not backed by hard power, is ineffective, and soft power coupled with diplomacy is no substitute for hard power. The dual threat across the line of control and line of actual control, and China bearing its fangs should serve as a wake-up call. To add to this, Nepal, the neighboring country of India, has gun hostile and possible People's Liberation Army deployments in Nepal will compound our problems manifold, and there would be the next surprise by China, maybe around the corner. So, in this context, we would like to discuss the position that China supports Pakistan terrorists both at the UN and anti against India Afghanistan through a bloodied Maoist insurgency. China has successfully brought communists to power in Nepal, drawing Nepal in its strategic sphere. China has announced it will be a custom teaching Mandarin in Nepal's school, with the government has accepted. Naturally, teachers will come from China, well versed in ideological and psychological treatment of upcoming generation, and People Liberation Army deployment inside Nepal is likely in near future. And in this context, one thing we want to discuss regarding the position of the then late Prime Minister regarding the suggestion of the then Commander-in-Chief of Indian Armed Forces, General Robert Lockett, who took a strategic plan for a government directive on defense policy to the then late Prime Minister Pandit Nehru. And Nehru only looked at the paper and shouted in the words, rubbish, total rubbish. We don't need a defense plan. Our policy is ahimsa, non-violence. We foresee no military threats. Scrap the army. The police are good enough to meet our security needs. Instead of helping Tibetans against Chinese invasion, Nehru was supplying rice to People's Liberation Army. He has also told United States, United Kingdom, and the United Nations to go ignore Tibetan protest to United Nations, saying that would distract from the neutral nations. So, this mistake committed by Pandit Nehru subsequently was the Indo-China War of 1962, and automatically India lost the territory of Aksai chain, which is comprising around 37,755 square kilometers, and it ultimately also resulted by Chinese interference in Indian territories, and also the direct involvement of China with Pakistan, and the very alliance made in between Pakistan and China in the very context of leasing out Gilgit and Baltistan to China for almost 50 years, which would be possible in near future as reported in the medias. And so also we found that another major disturbance occurred to the Indian territory which Pakistan is giving lease of Saxon Valley, which is comprising around 5,180 square kilometers in 1963, was also due to lack of vision by our late Prime Minister Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. So, in this context, we would like to expect the role of the present government in India to always be preferred as the Chinese are and the People's Liberation Army are not to be taken granted, as they always play mischief and suspicious, and it would cause again some territorial loss to the Indian territories. So, in this context, we would like to suggest the government to always remain vigilant on the territory bordering the actual border, that is the border of line of control, and also the line of actual control in between Pakistan and China.